It is indeed game day. Welcome to NFL Nation Live, our Week 14 show. Ref Guru, along with the Hall of Famer, Wayne Violator Mabry, and the legendary Pirate, Captain Jack. Breaking news out of our broadcasting studios in Southern California. NFL Nation Live will be on a bye next week because of the Raiders game is on Thursday for Week 15. We have scheduling conflicts, so we'll be back in 2 weeks for Week 16. But no show next week. Now we've got that out of the way. Wow, it was a crazy
Well,
week.
hell, that just kicks off everything I was going to ask you. So I'm out of here. Bye. Yeah.
Well, it's nice talking to you.
See ya.
Yeah, great seeing you, man.
Yeah, see you.
That's it. Hey, I'm here for a second. Say good. Peace. Boom. Yeah. Now we'll do a show.
Yeah. Taylor Swift. All right, we'll open up the chat here just a little bit. But before we get to all the craziness of closing the books on week 13, unlucky 13 for some, lucky 13 for others, and get you ready for tonight as well as the rest of week 14. V, welcome to the show. What are your quick first thoughts, my friend?
Quick first thoughts. The drama ensues in this fourth quarter of the 2023 season, man. It's building up to be a doozy at the end.
Yeah, the Eagles better get their bird seed back in the box, man.
Eagles and a couple of other ones better watch.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, I know I'm ready. I'm pretty sure Cap's ready. I think the bigger question here is, V, are you ready?
I'm clocked in, baby. I'm running overtime. Let's get it.
Welcome, everyone, to NFL Nation Live. Ref Guru, Violator, Captain Jack, along with you for week 14. Remember, next week we'll be on a bye because of the Raiders game in Las Vegas on Thursday. We'll be back in 2 weeks for week 16 show. But we've got a lot to cover for today. I'll get the chat opened up here in just a minute. Who would have thought Seattle would have gone into Dallas and get thumped by the Cowboys? Not big surprise there, Tex, that you got the win at home, but it was only by 6 points. So, V, if they're going to if Dallas is, we've talked about this before, they're racking up a bunch of good wins here. Maybe they were looking ahead just a little bit to the Eagles. The important thing is they got the W. The question now is, can they ground the birds that are be coming in this week for the Sunday night game at what do they call that stadium? Well, I know it's AT&T Stadium, but it should have a nickname. Why doesn't it have a nickname? We should call it Tom Landry Stadium.
Jerry's World.
It's Gerald's World. Gerald's World. Come on,
Gerald's
with
World.
The program. What you think will be something else? Are you friggin' kidding me? It's AT&T Stadium, aka Gerald's World.
Gerald's World's fine. What's wrong with Tom Landry Stadium, by the way?
Good question there.
Okay.
So somebody can figure out that he's worthy.
Well,
I can't hear you.
Okay. Yeah, he definitely heard that. Can you hear me?
What the hell is going on here? There's no tackling. All grabbing. Grab. I see. I'm kind of imparting my Vince Lombardi with my cowboy hat. But see, that's because I love Vince so much, and I think that Tom Landry should have a field named after. Maybe he's at least got a restroom named after, kind of like Provo Privy in the Green Beret movie. So maybe it's the Landry Lavatory
or the Cotton Bowl at Landry Stadium or something like that.
There you go.
Anyway, Tex, you got the win against the Sea Chickens. We'll be back to talk to you a little bit more about the fact that you've got the Eagles coming in this week, which is a game I think you probably are going to win.
Should win.
But in any case, you got a Seahawks team now, guys, that seems to be fading a little bit. They lose this week against the 49ers. You can't necessarily count them out with the rest of the way the NFC is playing. But this is not a Seahawks team that looks like they're really going anywhere at this point.
From my observation of them, it's like they peaked a little bit too early.
That's right.
Like you say, they're on a descent right now. And, aside from Geno's elbow injury, which isn't major, that didn't help the situation at all. But
not at all.
I just see them gliding on to a coast at the end.
Yeah, well, they're 15th in scoring, and we haven't really talked about putting them on the clock yet. But a loss at San Francisco, and maybe there should be some consideration there. The Michigan Wildcats went into New Orleans and beat the Saints. This is a good win.
Wait, gosh, what the hell are you talking about? Michigan, what? God, screw it. I'm gonna do it without my beret.
So Pierre Leon, you got the win in New Orleans. Congratulations.
Like I said, Detroit is victorious. Vive la victory for the Detroit. What? I have the wrong script in front of me.
Well, that's not my fault. But it's just not the same without the hat. But it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, it could be too because I skipped over the Chargers.
See, that's what. See, there you go. Here's my freaking hat. I got my accent wrong, but I got my hat on right.
Well, you
one out of two, right?
You wouldn't be the first one to have that problem.
There you go.
But in this case, you got the win against the Saints. Now, do we want to go?
Viva la victory!
Yeah, all that.
And what did we do to that? How you say, quarterback of the New Orleans?
They took him out.
He is broken.
Yeah,
that's he is broken.
I think all jokes aside, he is broken. It was pretty obvious.
And for some reason, we don't have the Saints on the clock, but I think there's a couple teams that are pushing it at this point. Maybe they're one of them. Lions puts Campbell's soup in the gumbo.
In the gumbo, the good one.
I maintain my script. I was to say, what the hell you talking about?
They bubble gumped their shrimp, man.
You passed one. That's what was thrown.
Yeah, I know. I messed up on that. That's my bad. Hey,
no one hear no shit about me having the wrong hat on.
Well, yeah, hey, I'm a ref. We miss calls. It happens. Whatever.
Oh, don't even get me into that. We're gonna unload on you on that one.
Woo, before we get to that, let's go to Coach B.
Get ready.
Let's go to Coach B, who is still looking for 301. Didn't get any points at home against the Chargers. Coach B, it's one thing to get beat. It's another thing to get shut out at home. This wasn't pretty at all. What do you got to say for yourself now that you got to turn around on a short week and play the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight?
It's on the Pittsburgh. Or Pittsburgh's coming up. I don't know. I just know that we play the Steelers.
Well, you had a lot to say about J.J. Watt this week, though. I think you said more about J.J. Watt this week than you said in all of your press conferences combined over the last 25 years.
That's probably true, but I've been so pissed off that must have been my alter ego talking about it.
Oh.
I don't know anything I said about J.J. Watt because I've been in a funk since I lost 6-0
right
to a LA. What's the name of their team?
The Johnny Lightnings.
There you go. Okay, so something because I know that captain guy calls them the Garglers, but I tell you,
but what
they gargle the victory in why they could win in Foxborough.
Lightning McQueens, that's what they're called. Remember from the earlier season when the Titans interviewed fans on the street during the draft, and they had them show them all these names. That was the name, Lightning McQueen.
Lightning McQueen.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take your word for it because I was talking about J.J. Watt. I had a lot of things on my mind.
Well, it's easy to get Watts and electric mixed up because it's Chargers and Watts, and there was probably some ohms and volts thrown in there too.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't even know who our quarterback is. Some kid by the name of Zap. And that's That's probably what it was between an electric transfusion and being zapped. And
There you go.
that's
Yeah.
why I don't remember it. Okay.
Right.
I'm just letting you know there's something there.
Who you
And
going with
it's
tonight? Jones or Zappy or whatever his name is?
That's a question.
that's a secret.
Oh, okay.
That's a secret. Even I don't know about it. Even I don't know about it. That's what they said they were going to keep it secret from everybody. The secret is so well kept that nobody decided to let me know, and I won't find out until somebody trots out onto the field when we
Wearing
take
number 10?
offense.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Well,
don't know.
we'll come back to you in a little bit because you do have a game tonight, so I don't want to bother you too much. But in
I'm
any case,
gonna take
Power
a
nap.
nap until then.
okay,
Power nap.
very good.
That's
Um,
it.
The
There you go.
Falcons went into New York and beat the Jets, so this is a good win for Atlanta in the NFC South. Not much more we can be said about the Jets, guys. We put them on the clock in Week 11, and so far that's turned out to be a pretty good choice, I think.
Did we put that? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Even with that vaunted defense of theirs, they look like half of a squad, really.
They do. Well, that's right. Because you run the ball, play good defense. They're playing good defense, but they're not doing anything on the other side.
They're not doing any of that on the other side, and the whole quarterback. They won't call it a controversy, but
it can't be any more than
it can't
what
be
it
any
is.
more than that. But man,
Right.
they damn sure miss Rodgers, man. I tell you that.
No doubt. I think the whole NFL misses him. Can you imagine if he were healthy and they were in the thick of the playoff race right now? You have no idea how they would be matched up now with Miami and Buffalo. They could be in second place, really, with the way Buffalo is playing, but we'll never know.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
Falcons used the afterburner on the Jets.
They'll get an interjection of at least a new quarterback, or actually a new old quarterback next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking they actually might get an old friend that Rodgers can throw to that he might be very familiar with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what number is he going to wear? Never mind.
Well, I don't know, but I think that whatever number he wants, he will pay for. If somebody is wearing his number, I'm sure that he will offer him a Taco Bell ownership.
I think he should wear number 11.
Yeah.
For the Jets. With Don Maynard's old number.
Oh, that's
yeah.
But
all right,
isn't it retired?
Who cares? He can unretired. I don't think so. But I don't know. I'm not a Jets fan. Adams ain't leaving.
He says, Sean says, what's up, Sean? He says,
who would have thought the Arizona Cardinals become the new Angry Birds of the NFL? Went into Pittsburgh, beat the Steelers. It's the Steelers team, guys, that could be in trouble. They only scored 10 points. They may need more than 10 points tonight to beat the New England Patriots. This game tonight may be 13-10. With the Cardinals team,
that's a dog game. I'm not even going to wake up from my nap. I'm just going to have somebody come in from the sideline.
I don't blame you. But V, this is a Pittsburgh Steelers team. We talked about this in our show last week that it could be a trap game, and certainly it turned out to be that way, despite the fact that the Steelers have a decent defense. They gave up 24 points to the Cardinals at
Absolutely.
home.
Hey, look, listen. Kyler Murray and those Angry Birds, they've taken over Atlanta's spot. They're the Angry Birds now, and they went in there and just, along with Connor, the ex-Steeler running back. Yeah, he flexed on them all day, man. They had no answer for him.
Kev says Adams not going to the Jets. Rodgers not giving up his money. I don't know.
It's not a matter of giving up money. It's that they got to give up some damn collateral.
Well, that's part of it as well. It's a lot of those things, money included. But yes, you're right. We'll see. We're a long way from that point. But if the Raiders don't win some games, I just think Adams is gone anyway, regardless of what happens for the rest of the season. So, in any case, Carolina got beat by Tampa Bay. Really, all that did for the Bucs, guys, was give them a little bit of glimmer of hope here. Yeah,
sorry,
that's okay. But that was it. Here was the game that was fun to watch last week. The Colts went into Tennessee and beat Whiskey Jack's team by 3 points, or actually by 1 point, wasn't it? No, it was 3 points. Was it 3? What was it? Yeah, 3 points. But that score doesn't look right to me. Maybe it went into overtime. But, guys, This was a game that went into overtime, but it went into overtime because Tennessee missed an extra point. Had Tennessee gotten the extra point, this game maybe never gets to overtime, and they would have gotten the win. But that was a big win for the Colts on the road in Tennessee.
Well, the reason why was because the damn kicker had some of my moonshine before he was coming out. Before he was coming out,
you're supposed to go to the bathroom before you go out there.
Well, he went to the bathroom, but he kind of imbibed in the what do you call, kind of like that prison. I don't care. Well, remember that stuff you make in prison? It's in the commode.
No, I don't actually, but there might be somebody on this show that does.
It's actually, I think it's called Applejack or something, which kind of for the Jack of the show.
Oh, no,
it was in that movie with Burt Reynolds and that the good movie, not the
Longest
one with
Yard.
Adam.
Who's Burt Reynolds?
Longest Yard.
Thank you. Not that Adam Sandler bullshit.
Right,
that was
right.
stupid. That was stupid.
The original Longest Yard.
By the way, Bernadette Peters was the best portion of that movie. You know what I'm saying. You know about Bernadette.
Hooch.
Okay,
Sean's on it run today. Hooch. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Man.
Anyway,
right on, Sean.
He went to the blue tent, and underneath the blue tent, there's a tunnel to where the hooch was.
Oh, I see. So you're running the underground distillery out there?
Don't tell nobody.
No, we won't tell anybody.
Gonna get me in trouble.
Copy that. Well, anyway, the Colts got the win. They're going to need another one this week. They can put pretty much the nail in the coffin on the Cincinnati Bengals season by getting that win. In Ohio, but we'll see. Miami went into Washington and beat the Commodores. No surprise there. Anybody having to say that? I mean, Miami's winning another game against a team without a winning record. I'm not sure that we're really going to know much about the Dolphins until after they played their first playoff game. And either they'll still be at home or they'll be on the road. I don't think this is a Dolphins team that's going to go into Kansas City or Baltimore and win on the road.
It's going to be interesting, and like I say, the weather's going to play a big role in that. But I just saw Miami almost like they were on the playground. They were. It wasn't like they took their foot off the gas, even though they knew Washington had nothing for them. They just turned it on, and I think Tua and the Cheater are on some personal mission, maybe for their fantasy league or something. I don't know, but
yeah. Kev's right. Miami's taking advantage of the opportunity. Same with Dallas, right? Yeah. Dallas is getting all these cheap wins at home in getting them ready. And everything that needed to happen happened for Dallas. Yeah. They beat Seattle. The Eagles go down against the 49ers, which is exactly what we talked about in last week's game. Now they're going to go play the Eagles this week, down one game. The division title is still on the horizon for Dallas if they want it.
But that's what makes it. That's what makes it interesting. Ref is these tight runs. Now there's some that's already a giveaway, but these tight ones, that's what keeps us interested in the game. Nice dance.
Right. Denver went into Houston and couldn't keep their winning streak alive. Not surprising there though, because Houston's pretty good football team.
Where the hell's my hand?
Their match, but
I had to stand up for this stuff. Notice I said stuff instead of that other word.
Well, I don't know. I am just so everybody knows I'm getting some internet buffering on my end.
I heard that too. Yeah, whatever that was. Yeah. I heard a little bit of that too.
There you go.
So, there it is.
Where were we? Oh yeah, Denver went into Houston and got beat by the Texans. Not a surprise. Yeah, not a surprise there, guys. We predicted this last week that Houston was the football pick. But Denver had gotten some good wins. But Richie Richey said it last night. I thought he said it hit a lot of things really well. Cap, you can talk about some of the things that were discussed on the Wild Wild West show last week. By the way,
I'm Houston Jack, Captain. Who the hell you talking to, boy?
Yeah, Sean, man. I know we're cutting in and out. I'm not sure what the buffering issue is here. Apologize for that.
Might be me.
We do have a weather watch where I'm at, so maybe there's some issues there. But Richie Rich said it pretty good last night, Cap, on the Wild Wild West show from Mile High Roundtable Network, MHRT. And by the way, if you're not watching that show along with the other shows, you need to be watching that show. But Richie Rich pretty much basically said, Denver didn't get the turnovers that they were getting, and against a good football team, it's going to be tough to win, right?
Who you talking to?
I'm going to say
anybody that's listening.
I'm going to say I'm amazed at how well coached they are, and CJ Stroud is he's playing almost like Rodgers with a chip on his shoulder, being picked second.
But that's a really good point, V.
Yeah,
because they're playing within his abilities. They're running that offense with the plays that they know, but each week they expand a little bit to get a little bit better. But the other side of it is they're playing pretty good defense right now.
They definitely are for a young squad. And who was a young kid out of Alabama there? He's making them forget about Mr. Watts already.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt about it.
Hey, but why we won? What happened? The very last play that counted, who won that game? The Houston defense intercepting that Russell guy 3 times, and the defense wins, and CJ and the rest of them, wonderful. Will Anderson, thank you there, Danny.
Thank you, Danny. Will Anderson, yes, sir.
Yeah, so that was a good win by the Texans. If Miami or Kansas City are not the number 1 seed, and I think it's probably going to be Baltimore. Houston gets a wild card if Jacksonville hangs on for the division title, and they might. Houston's going to go somewhere, and I don't know.
You don't want to play us. We
No, you don't. No, you don't. It's going to be a fired up Houston team, and look, they're not going to feel the playoff pressure because there isn't any.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think anybody. No. A lot of people probably weren't picking them to get there. They're gaining confidence. They're going to go into New York this week and I think find out a little bit about the resolve of this Houston, Texas team, right? Because not only do they have to go into New York in a place that's probably fairly tough to play in when you're not used to being there on the East Coast, and against that Jets defense. And I think they'll win the game because they're scoring points on offense.
Hey, Vay, what am I doing?
It could be a game closer than we think.
What am I doing, Vay?
Dub? Is that a dub?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. See, that's universal, baby.
Dub.
Yeah. Okay, if you say so. But I like the Texans in New York, just because the Jets aren't scoring enough points. But Houston gets out of there with a 23-13, something 20-10 win, something like that. That's going to help them a lot, guys, because they probably will get the win against one of the better defenses in the conference, if not the NFL, but at least the conference. There's arguments on the NFC side. I know that. But against the conference, which means then they're going to go on the road into New York, play a good team defense, get the win. Then when they go in playoffs and face another team whose defense is solid, but not as good.
Not as good. Yeah.
Then say, okay, we got 15, 20, whatever points against the Jets. Here's what we got to do on offense to beat somebody else, right?
Absolutely. Like
I always. So much for that. Cleveland.
Hey, I gotta go find my stripper girlfriend. I'll be back.
See you.
Tell her we said hi.
Yes, indeed.
V, can you repeat what you said, because you buffered out on my end?
No. I was just saying, as far as that Houston team, I always tease them. They don't know what they don't know, and they don't seem to care about it. They just
that's right.
Follow, they're just following the coach's lead and just going out there playing like youngsters, having fun.
They're young and they're playing hard, and they don't know, like you said, they don't know that they're not supposed to be this good this early.
Right.
And when you play and you don't know what your limitations are, you're just going to play a lot better because you're going to go full throttle.
And then how do you defense that? And then how do you game plan for that if you're the opposing team? Because you don't know what they're going to do, right? A couple good points in the chat. Best receiver for the Texans, Dell got hurt. I don't know the status, but I do know he got hurt.
Broken leg.
Leg.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah. Broken fibula.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So
And
he's
then we'll
done.
get to it. We'll get to
On
the
Crosby?
Raiders in general. But Daniel's asking if there's any update on Crosby's knee. Anybody heard?
I just heard probable.
Well, that's
If
pretty.
if
To
Anna
go
comes
from
in
where
here,
he
she
was to
knows.
probable is pretty good.
Yeah,
And-
for him, yeah.
Yeah, Anna's my source in Vegas. I ask her whenever I see her, and if she's in the show, she'll always tell us what the latest news
Yeah.
is from what she's hearing.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's a bummer for Dell. I had him on my fantasy team.
Yeah, he's done. Man.
Cleveland went into LA, got beat by the Rams. You know, this is a Rams team that's also kind of getting a couple cheap wins. This was a
Yep.
bummer loss, really, for Cleveland in a way, because it's a game they would have liked to have had in terms of standings for the playoffs. But Joe Flacco looked pretty good for coming off the rusty bench, Earl Morrall style, if you will. Now they're going to go home this week and face a Jacksonville Jaguars team that's probably just as good or better, probably better than the Rams. We'll get to that. But so although the loss hurt Cleveland a little bit, it didn't hurt as much because Denver also lost. Pittsburgh probably fades from the whole thing because they can't score enough points.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not too worried about the, I know they've got the Steelers in there as a probable playoff spot, but I don't think they're going to stay there. So it wasn't a huge loss for Cleveland, but this is a Rams team now that are we in or out on the Rams? I'm out on the Rams, but I'll be in if they go to Baltimore, beat the Ravens, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm out on them because that win with Cleveland, they were so inept on the offensive side.
Right.
That it was, to me, that was one of those cheap wins, as you call it. And they tried to give Donald the spotlight with that safety that they did, but that's Joe Flacco. I was amazed how well Flacco played, being on the shelf as long. But the guy, he shows the leadership, but like I say, he is not a mobile. He's an immobile target, and that's what they capitalized on.
Well, we've got these one-hit wonders, if you will, coming back. Baker Mayfield did the same thing. Was sorting mail on Monday, played for the Rams. On Sunday, the following Sunday or whatever it was, and he won his game. So I've got these one-hit wonders coming back. You just wonder how long they're really going to be able to sustain that. I just think the Rams are done. They're not scoring enough points.
Well, who did the Rams play?
Well, this week they're going to play in Baltimore.
Yeah,
but they played Cleveland last week.
Yeah, I was going to say whoever's playing, because you had somebody playing Jacksonville, and Jacksonville without
Trevor,
Sunshine.
Yeah, without Trevor.
Both their quarterbacks are beat up.
Yeah,
both their quarterbacks are beat up. So I don't know that Jacksonville's going to be able to go into Cleveland on two banged up quarterbacks and beat that defense. But V, back to your point, that Cleveland defense gave up 36 points to the Rams.
Yes, they did.
And I know the Rams have Stafford and Kupp and all those guys that Cleveland does not, right? But that's still a lot of points for that defense. I expected that game to be a little bit closer. San Francisco went into Philadelphia, beat the Eagles. I think I took San Francisco last week. I don't remember who you all took.
We took Philly and we were wrong.
Yeah.
Well, it's not about being wrong, but I was convinced that San Francisco, coming off the bye, a chip on their shoulder, the Eagles were coming off that overtime win against Buffalo. They're tired. Now they got banged around against the 49ers. Now they have to go to Dallas. This is not a good 3-week stretch for the Eagles, I don't think.
A hell of a 3-week stretch for the Eagles. The Eagles. And that brotherly shove, I don't think is going to help him a lot. Hurts didn't have his best performance.
Not at all.
I give credit to the defensive coordinator of the Niners.
I agree with you.
They swarmed and they swarmed some more.
And they shut down A.J. Brown, essentially.
They shut down Brown, and then Debo on the offensive side. And again, hats off to – I tip my hat to Purdy. Every time I see these late-round QBs getting their shot and doing what they intended to do, I love that, man, the underdog. So, but the Niners just came with too much firepower.
Well, and if Dallas is paying attention, then the 49ers essentially gave them the game plan for beating the Eagles, right?
Definitely, and I don't think a week will change much of that.
And no, and the Eagles have to go on the road after 2 tough games. I think this is Dallas's time if they're going to rise up to do it. A loss for them being the Cowboys at home against the Eagles would be devastating. I think for them, given all the, if you will, I don't think cheap wins is really the right term.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any wins in the NFL are cheap, but they're the easy part of their schedule, so to speak. They got the wins they needed, and they've gained a lot of confidence. So I think a loss now not only hurts them in the seeding part of things, but I think it'll hurt them more from the confidence level. Don't you think?
Go ahead, B. But I was going to say I don't think that Dallas has all the horses on the defensive line that the Niners do, and they don't have all of the horses on the offensive side to match what the Niners did.
That's true.
I mean, that's a different. I mean, yeah, when you have a Niners team, and that's why they whooped them, is because of all of the things that you were talking about that was negative for the Eagles, and it was plus for the Niners. But you're also talking divisional, and you're talking what does Dallas have to match up against the Eagles?
Well,
and not as much as what the Niners brought to the table. So
no, that's true. But the Dallas played them pretty tough their first round in Philadelphia. So Dallas, I agree with you, Cap. My concern is that Dallas probably feels like they have the template, but you're right. And if they don't do that and are overconfident, then the Eagles might sneak one in. But that's going to be a tough win for Philadelphia.
And they're definitely going to be pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Definitely. They're going to bring that East Coast attitude, and Dallas better look out.
Daniel says tush push on the road. That sounds like that sounds like a Taylor Swift song, but yeah.
Or a sequel or something. I like that. Tush push on the road.
Yeah. We'll call it tush push OTR.
There you go.
On the road. Eagles got a San Francisco treat on their cheesecake. Indeed, they did.
I wonder what that treat was.
Well, we can't say on air, but we can kind of guess what it was.
Oh yeah.
Not even I'm gonna touch that one.
Probably had something to do with a sock. I don't know. All right. One of the bigger games, the Kansas City Chiefs went into Green Bay and lost to the Packers. But there was a lot of controversy in that game. Most notably, the 2 calls that essentially canceled each other out. The inbound hit on Mahomes that was flagged.
Bull crap, and I think we talked ad nauseum about that last night on Wild Wild West.
Yeah,
along with the next words out of your mouth,
and the no call DPI against Green Bay against the Kansas City receiver late in the game that could have put Kansas City in better field position with a possible chance to get the 8 points they needed to win it.
That's right.
So let's talk about the game first. I think this is a cheap Packers win, but I don't think Kansas City guys really came all out for this one. I think if they went on the road in a conference game that they don't technically have to win, and they didn't, they're looking ahead to Buffalo. What we said before is you're going to lose this game, get out of there with everybody basically healthy. And I know they got Pacheco thrown out of the game. Yeah. But I think he's otherwise okay. So essentially, I think there's still something going on with Kelsey at the moment. But I think essentially the Chiefs escape, if you will, from that one without a lot of baggage and bruises going home. But they've got to kick the tires on a bunch of wagons getting circled around Arrowhead at the moment. But this is a Packers team that's trying for the playoffs. They got the cheap win, if you will. Now they're going to go to New York. But let's talk about the Packers. Packers deserve to win this one. Give or take the 2 calls. Packers deserve to win this or no?
They to me, guys, they played a better game. That Dillon, that running back, 250-pound running back.
Yeah.
KC did not want more of him after that second quarter.
No, that's right.
They were done with him. And then, of course, Love is just, you see him coming into his own. I think the game is really slowing down for him. KC, I saw a little bit of arrogance pregame.
Yeah.
But that's no excuse. Like I said, those 2 calls did not lose them the game. They just got out muscled by Green Bay.
So now the question is, are the Packers going to pull it together and go into New York, beat the Giants? If they are, then that's a Packers team we're going to have to keep an eye on because they might be playoff bound. Now, I don't think that game in New York's a pushover. Packers might be the favorites. I haven't seen the line. I don't know. That's a Land Clark game, by the way, but and his crew.
Oh,
but
hey, the Packers with Love over Tony DeVito or whatever his first name is. Are you kidding me?
DeVito, yeah.
Well, that defense is pretty decent though. And can they stop Barkley for 60 minutes? I don't know.
I'll take an offensive juggernaut because Giants can't do crap to score. Okay, and it might be kind of like a basketball game, except that the Giants don't have any offense, and the Packers will have just enough offense, to score. And by the way, they kept the Chiefs. What was the score on that one?
27 to 19.
Yeah,
it was
19,
an 8-point win for the Packers.
Okay, well they kept the Chiefs, which is a very good offensive team, under 20. Are you
no, you're right.
Me? Yeah, I'm talking. That's an easy.
That's an easy one. That's fine. So, I'm just saying. My job's just to kind of put it out there. Now let's talk about the officiating a little bit. Because Cap, I know we talked a lot about this last night's show, but not everybody on this show was on yesterday's show. But let's talk about it a little bit. There's three basic things here, right? There's bad officiating. There's officiating that's bad because of the whatever you want to put it, the triangle square box that New York wants the officials to try to officiate in. And then there's the new back judge mechanic, which put the back judge out of position, in my opinion, which is why they missed the DPI call. But there's just a lot going on here. As fans, from your guys' perspective, what's tweaking your clock about this whole thing?
I'm giving that the German 3 because it's very, very. You notice it's the German 3. We talked about that on the show too. This is an American 3. Mm-hmm. This is a German 3. Gotcha. There's a big difference. But go ahead, V. I'll let you start, and then I'll pop in after.
From my vantage point, I'm like, no way any official, backside, corner, otherwise, would have missed that call had it been us on defense.
Oh yeah,
but my first knee jerk thought was that's a makeup for the sideline fiasco.
Yes,
with Mahomey.
Yes,
he's legally inbound. Yeah, knock his butt in the dirt, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
not how I usually say that, but you get it.
Right.
That one right there, I thought, and I don't know whether that could have been challenged or not, but
that is not reviewable.
Okay, yeah, but just so obvious. I'm like, are you serious, man?
So that was Brad Allen's crew, right?
Yeah, it was.
Brad
I
Allen.
thought of you immediately, man. I'm like,
oh yeah. So Sarah Thomas is on there. The back judge in there is Greg Yeti. Oh, no wonder they picked it up.
Oh, he's
not the worst back judge they've got, but he's the second worst.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's why he's on Brad Allen's crew, is because they know that Brad's going to cover for him, which is exactly what they did.
Oh.
Right. If you look at Brad Allen's pool report after and asked him about that, he's like, well, the official just decided that it didn't rise to the whatever BS they were putting out there, which is basically means my guy screwed up, but I'm not going to throw him under the bus.
Under the bus, right.
Yeah, that's officiating speak for but whatever.
Yeah. What's up, Asylum? Thank you, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, and so that's a bummer. So the officials are suffering from training that hasn't gotten out of 1974. They're boxed in by this craziness from what's reviewable, what's not reviewable. And when is New York going to step in? When is New York not going to step in?
Yep.
And then on top of that, you've got all these people that have never worked together. Remember, the NFL changes the crews over every season. Now the white hat, the referee. Remember the referee. I know we refer to all officials as referees, but For
It's only
football,
one.
the referee is a specific position on the field. So when I say referee, I'm specifically talking about the guy wearing the white hat.
Yep.
Because, oh, see, I got hats too, Cap.
There you go.
Yeah, mine doesn't fit as good as Brad Allen's, but it's got that Walt Coleman look to it. What do you think?
There you go. Yeah.
He does. He does wear cockeyed.
Am I
Oh,
profiling now?
You're on
Yeah.
point, man. You're on
Yeah,
point.
he
Yeah.
does wear
66
cockeyed.
66 reasons to wear it like that. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. But where were we? I was wearing a hat. No, wait, but they changed the crews over. Now the referee
Really?
the referee has some say in who can be on his crew and who they don't want on the crew. But ultimately New York decides that. So the more tenured you are and the higher up the food chain and popularity ladder you are, the more you'll be able to retain who you want. In general, the referee almost exclusively gets one veto vote and one affirmative vote. For example, if you look when Walt Anderson was officiating on the field, his line judge was always Byron Boston. Always Byron Boston. That was his one in vote. And then so officials generally will go with somebody that they like working with, umpire, line judge, something like that. But they generally, other than that, don't have a lot of say in who's on their crew. And it's obvious because there's so much crew turnover. So these guys have not worked together very much, and there's just not enough practice. And then I think that in these games, I know there's been a lot of talk about using the sky judge, which is the camera, that floats around. Look, you can solve all the not all of them. You can solve most of the officiating issues with some combination of technology and people intervention. But until they get a process and a procedure down for how they're going to do that, all these other suggestions about how we're going to fix this thing don't matter. Because within those decisions of saying we're going to use technology and people, if they make that decision, which they have to make at some point, I hope, then you have to say, okay, now that we've decided to use the sky judge or whatever, how are we going to actually manage it to solve the problems? So they have two issues here. They have to decide they want to solve the problem. And then if they're going to solve it, they have to figure out how they're going to implement whatever solutions that they want to. In the American Spring Football League, which was supposed to start up in 2024, which I hope will still come up at some point. I know who the supervisor or the Walt Anderson peer, if you will, for that league. I know who that is. And I've talked with that person. And that person essentially has said in lieu of technology, because that's expensive, and all the infrastructure that you have to support the analytics that go with that infrastructure, the suggestion was to use an 8-man modified mechanic so that when teams are in the red zone, you automatically add an eighth official into the crew whose specific job can be whatever that you want that mechanic to be. Watch the goal line, watch the end line, watch the corner, watch the pylon, watch the cheerleaders, whatever it is you want to be.
I want that job.
Yeah, I know you do. That's why I mentioned it. But I'm thinking that,
he knows me so well.
Yeah, but that's why I threw it in there. But the modified, in lieu of technology, the modified 8 for actual real people on the field, I think is an excellent way to avoid some of the issues that we had in the Kansas City Green Bay game. Because on those plays where you're going to have those downfield plays, just have that 8th official ready on the sideline. And then when the play starts, put him in position to help back up the back judge, the side judge, the field judge, whoever. And then you get an extra pair of eyes. And part of the issue, and I agree with you, V, that had there been the Raiders, it still would have been a flag. Yeah. But the two issues in the Green Bay game are this: the officials on the move. It's very, very difficult to officiate when you're on the move. Most officials can do that at this level. Some of them cannot. And if in the ASFL, if you can't officiate effectively on the move, you're out. You're just going to be out, because there's times when you're going to have to officiate on the move. But what we want is for the officials to not be moving sideways or backwards on the move and trying to officiate. It's much easier to officiate going forward.
Right.
If you're going to officiate on the move, then I want it forward. If you're having to officiate running backwards, running to the side, chasing people, stuff's going to get missed. And then there was, I'm not sure which game it was, this last week or whatever. They had a Hail Mary to the end zone. No, actually, I think it was Packers.
Yeah,
game.
It was the last game. It was the last play.
The last play of the game. Yeah.
And they talked about a potential DPI on Kelsey, that he got shoved in the back and then ended up on the ground.
Yeah.
That is a split hairs call, because Kelsey didn't fall down because he got pushed in the back. He fell down because he tripped over another player, maybe because he got pushed in the back. But the push in the back was not anywhere near what the Hail Mary push in the back was. That was a missed DPI call that blew that whole scenario out of the freaking universe. That last play on Green Bay, Miami was a good no call, if you will. I know there'd be a lot of arguments for it. It was just not there. And there was a play in the Denver game as well, where it looked like maybe there, to the fans, might have been a face mask on the Denver player from the Houston player. It was not a face mask. So I had some online conversations about Richie Riche about that one. That's a separate story. But this is where the modified 8-man mechanic would come into play. When you know you've got those plays, get another bot. If you can't have the technology piece, get another person down on the field. And then back to your point, V, you're going to have to make all plays potentially reviewable. I'm not saying that if you make all plays reviewable, all plays are going to be reviewed. There's simple plays that on first down, the guy runs up the line for 1 yard gain. Is that need to be reviewed? No, but as a process of managing the game, you have to run with the mindset of all plays are potentially reviewable in order to get the call right. You can't have this, oh, well, that's not reviewable. This is reviewable. It's not reviewable under 2 minutes. If you fumble forward under 2 minutes, it comes. There's so much nonsense in this whole thing that it frustrates everybody. But I think that that's part of what the NFL's looking at now by saying, well, we're entertainment, so if they're talking about it, that's a good thing. They don't particularly care that teams get jobbed, if you will, by the officials.
They're making money. They don't give a flying.
That's right. The problem is the underlying problem there, though, is it's demoralizing to the officials who are doing this, who really trying to do a good job.
Right. True.
And I would say that at least 50% of the officials that are out there today are trying to do a good job. You know what's going to happen if they keep this up? They're going to quit, and then we're just going to have this huge free for all,
a turnover,
of officials who are not qualified, don't care, and all that nonsense. So they're chipping away at the prestige of being an NFL official in the first place. And then if you take that away and you say, well, you're basically just out there as fodder for whatever our fiefdom wants. Well, I think that's a recipe for disaster. So
I was going to say, and I was, by the way, Asylum, I was actually going to address yours and tell me if I'm wrong, Ref. They do hold them accountable because they have a point system, and the ones that suck don't get the playoff games.
Exactly. Yeah. So Asylum's question is there any way to hold the Zebras accountable for their blatant bad calls?
Blatant bad calls, yeah.
The short answer is yes. The longer answer is depends. If you're in a fraternity or sorority, everybody knows what a legacy is. That means you had a mother, father, or important relative that was in that sorority or fraternity. So when you pledge that,
you make it automatically.
Yeah, well, pretty much. Yeah, the pledge then becomes quote legacy. So you're generally going to get in. If you're in that officiating ranks,
your last name is Hockley.
Yeah, Sterator, Coleman. You're gonna have to be asked to retire. You're not gonna get fired. However, the other folks, they are graded on every call. Politics aside, if you don't grade out, you don't get playoffs. If you don't get a playoff game within I think it's 3 years, you're out. You're just
Was that
quietly
right?
attritioned out of the system. They don't want to do that because now they got to bring in somebody else and train
Somebody
them.
else and start all over. Yeah.
Right. But then there's the Sarah Thomases who come in and essentially are taken care of, if you will, and given a Super Bowl in their 5th season or whatever. Can they do any wrong? Well, probably not, for all kinds of political reasons. But they are, if you will, held accountable. But there's only a certain percentage of those that will be held accountable, and that's where the problem lies. And
Well,
because
they should do something
transparency,
like
we'll never know.
they should do something like the Euro leagues. They do relegation. So what you're saying is that if you don't make the playoffs by your year 3, you're basically relegated out. So you actually was saying something that I was thinking about. If you ain't good enough, you're gone. You're relegated. You're no longer there. So thank you for answering that for me. But I think that there should be maybe a turnover of, if you are relegated out, if you do something that's remarkable, maybe you can get a second chance, but you got to prove in your second chance, if you pop back up, that you're not an F up.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying.
I don't disagree with that, but here's the problem within the rank and file is that once you get to the NFL, if you don't make it, if you will, in the NFL, there's no place for you to go.
Where are you going to
The
go?
colleges don't want you back.
Right.
Because you're damaged goods at this point. If you weren't good enough to make the NFL, why does the Pac-12 want you? Well, Pac-12 might want you.
I was gonna say, the Pac-12 would want you because they don't exist anymore.
But why would the Big Ten want you? Because essentially they all talk about the Big Ten on one press conference will say, yeah, we have. I'm making this up, but they'll be, yeah, we have the most officials who graduate to the NFL. On this conference day, the next conference day, where are they saying, well, we just took back all the crap that the NFL didn't want? No, they're not going to do that. And on top of that, they replaced you with somebody else at the Big Ten. So they're not going to demote somebody because somebody comes off the NFL ranks as, quote, damaged goods. There's good and the bad. The thing is, if you made it to that level at whatever amount that you served, whether it was 5 minutes or 50 years, you have something to offer other people that are coming up and that are coming in because you got training or on-field experience or whatever that a very small percentage of people are never going to get. I mean, you talk about the number of YFL players who are going to play pro ball. It's a diminishing percentage, right? Officials are the same way. Officials that are officiating YFL ball, what are their chances of making NFL? It's about the same, maybe less. But if you served at that level, at any level, you have something to offer. So even if you're cast aside, those folks should be trainers, scouts, something they have to offer. But in some cases, they're just shunned by the rest of the officiating community and put out to pasture. Some of them can transition, but most of those are either just choose to retire because they don't want to have to explain all the reasons why, or they're high profile referees that go on and do something else. Anyway, again, that's my soapbox with regards to the officiating. But
true, TV, you're right.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah,
there's that. But anyway, that's kind of my high horse on officiating. But that's what makes those games difficult from the fans' perspective. In part is because the things we explain on this show. But in addition to that, there's no transparency out of New York.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
there's Brad Allen's pool report out of there. It's like, well, it didn't rise to the level of, that he felt like it was DPI. Really?
Well, I'm sorry. I'm making a shake.
Understood.
No, that's what I thought you were doing. Yeah, right on. Yeah. But I was gonna say, Ref,
it's a low calorie shake.
Yeah, low calorie, definitely. But it's just to the fans, they're frustrated because of, like, say, the non-transparency. Yeah. And they're knowing that New York is marionetting the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's why we have this show, to educate people so they have a place to go to have that explained. Now, for those that didn't see the Houston-Denver game, there was contact between the Houston defender and the Denver wide receiver where we had a hand coming over the
face.
helmet and some head movement. And Richie Richey's comment was essentially twofold: that at real time speed, it looked like it could have been a face mask, which it's not, and I'll explain why in a minute. The second part of his, though, was that if it wasn't going to be a face mask penalty, why wasn't it at least a penalty for some sort of safety issue with hitting the guy in the head?
In the head.
Okay.
Right.
There's a couple of things here. You're not going to agree with all of it, but I'm going to explain it to you anyway. But there's nuances here. First of all, it didn't meet the threshold for a face mask, because while there was a hand on the helmet near the face mask and there was a head movement, it was not a grab and twist. If you don't remember, the old 5-yard penalty for hand to the face mask is gone. It's been gone for a while.
Right.
They only have the 15-yard penalty. That better be grab and he's looking that way.
Right.
If he's not looking south from looking north, that's not going to reach the threshold of a face mask. I don't care what it looks like.
If it doesn't look like Jay Schrader on the cover of Sports
Illustrated, exactly right.
Good one.
That's exactly right. Right. If you can't see both ears from the front, it's not a face. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's up,
it's
Ed?
not quite that bad. But the point is, you got to have grasp. You got to have grasp and control, if you will. And you got to see that. Okay. They didn't rise to that threshold. Back to Rich's other comment of, well, why isn't a flag for some sort of safety issue like hit to the head? First of all, you've got two players in combat, if you will, trying to make a play for the ball, not for the ball, whatever. That's not really a safety issue for someone essentially who's not the quarterback. Now, I know you can have hands to the face, stuff like that. That's pretty much for linemen.
Yeah.
And then there's whatever feather touching you want to do to the quarterback, you can throw flags on that all day. For two receivers out there, if he'd have get a forearm to the head, George Atkinson style, that would have been a flag. Again, this did not reach a level of where you're really going to be able to throw a flag. And if you did throw a flag, what's the call?
Yeah.
It's got to be a personal foul for what?
Giving them the business.
Well, really, I don't know. I'm not saying. I think if in defense of Richie's comment, had they thrown the flag and said it was personal foul for safety, the NFL probably would have defended it, because anytime the officials want to hide behind this veil of safety, they're going to back them up, and that's fine. We want to keep players safe. Blah blah blah. But again, this didn't really rise to where there could have or should have been a flag. Was it marginal? I don't think so. I wouldn't have had a flag. Could it have been? Yes, if it had gone much further than this and this, maybe. But again, for a member of live ball fouls, personal foul, 15 yards. Unsportsmanlike conduct is a dead ball foul, 15 yards. They're both 15 yards. But one's a live ball foul, one's a dead ball foul. But this would have been a live ball foul, but I just don't think it rose to the level of being able to be flat. And once again, if you look at the play, where's the back judge?
Right. The position.
He's on the run, he's trying to officiate while on the move. Yeah. Forget it, guys. That's the worst freaking mechanic I've ever seen in my entire life. And that's just dumb. And I would say it to Walt Anderson's face. It's dumb. I understand why. I don't want to go into it on this show. It's only an hour show, but I understand why Walt Anderson changed the mechanic. But I disagree with how they implemented it. They want the back judge to essentially be able to manage the middle of the field as if he's on some sort of swivel. But you can't do that and not be on the move. It's like remember and you can see it in college ball, but remember where the umpire is in college ball, he's behind the defensive line. It's where the NFL used to have the umpire.
Right.
Okay. He's standing there looking straight ahead, and he's able to watch guard, center, guard for holding, all that sort of stuff. That's exactly what you want. What Walt Anderson thought was his brilliant idea was, well, I can do that with the back judge and not have all these crazy, unnecessary illegal contact and DPI fouls? No, because nowhere in the umpire mechanic is the umpire required to move, except for maybe a couple feet forward, sideways, whatever, and stop officiating. When you're the back judge 25 yards or whatever down the middle of the field, and you've got all these NFL world-class receivers and defensive backs coming at you, you tell me you're going to try to officiate that in the middle of the field without moving? What is that? Anyway, it's messed up. It doesn't work. We're seeing it doesn't work. It's proof that it doesn't work, and I just think it's the wrong mechanic. So you add all of that craziness to the Denver-Houston thing at full speed in real time, not a flag. Had it been more than what it was, maybe. But it's not even a safety issue because nobody's bleeding, if you will.
Ref, I gotta ask though, and really, you're talking. Obviously, this makes sense and what should be done. The absolute one of the ways you can do something with that, and I know that there is a physicality requirement. I know that there is a requirement. You have to be able to do this, and this, run, lift, because there's a physicality requirement. You just need to make sure that the guys and gals in the back can run a certain speed again and again, kind of like in shuttle drills, and they have to meet a requirement in order to do that. And if they don't, they can't be that position on the field. They can't be the back judge or the side judge, whichever would. Those are the two guys in the back, right? Side judge and back judge, right?
Well, you got the side judge and field judge, which are downfield on the sideline from the line judge down linesman. The back judge is typically in the middle of the field somewhere
by himself.
Okay, but those requirements for those positions would be that you have a special requirement, and they should probably give you maybe a bonus for being able to do that, because you got to be more athletic than the other pudgy bastards that are out there.
Yeah, I agree with you 50%, and I'll answer that here in just a second. Asylum 77 says we need to let the wide receiver defenses fight it out. Only one should be a flag is defenseless receiver. The chicken fighting that is often the term that they use there for, I agree with. And I'll come back to you, Cap, because I agree with you 50%. I'll tell you why the other 50% isn't that I don't disagree with you, but why it's problematic. Okay. With regards to Psalm 77's question, the whole reason why this chicken fighting and all this nonsense takes place is because they have this 5-yard illegal contact crap.
Right.
Because
that's another Raider rule.
I agree with you, because they went away from this. You can't touch the guy. You can't say you can't touch the guy and then allow chicken fighting going down the field. What part of don't touch the guy don't you understand? So if they're going to touch each other and have chicken fighting and there's no flag, who broke the rule?
No,
well, it didn't rise to the come on, forget it.
So well, I actually applaud the officials that let them
play like
jockey and hand check each other.
I agree with you, but then they got to do away with this whole 5-yard illegal contact crap, because that's where it starts.
That's where it's
If you're going to let them do that within 5 yards, how do you tell them to stop doing that at 6 yards? It's the most insane rule I've ever seen in my life. If you're going to chicken fight from the line of scrimmage down to wherever barnyard door you want to go to. But don't do this, hands off for 5 yards, or you can beat the shit out of him for 5 yards, but then you're going to let it go.
Oh, he said a curse word.
No. That's horse manure, and it always has been. Okay, back to your point, Cap. I'm
not the only one that effing swears on this show. Yeah, I just wanted it to be out there.
I agree with, but I'm passionate about this thing because they got it wrong. So to your point, could there be different? Could there be physical requirements for the deeps, if you will, field judge, side judge, back judge, officials? The short answer is yes, and technically there are.
Yeah.
The problem is there's a couple problems. The first one is they move the officials around, and so the guys that could qualify as only field judge, back judge, and side judge don't want to stay there. They might say, well, I want to be a
Gotcha.
line judge.
Yeah.
Well, what's the NFL going to do if the union says, he wants to be a line judge? You should let him be. You should let him try it.
Right.
Now my field judge who met the requirements, who don't need those requirements as a line judge, who's going to come in and be my new field judge? It has to be somebody else who doesn't meet those requirements.
Absolutely.
So having those requirements is great. I don't disagree with it. Meeting that requirement is extraordinarily challenged given the number of officials who can't do it. In other words, if 90% of your officials who took them 20 years to get to that point and are now basically old and fat anyway, okay, if 90% of those officials can't meet that standard, and I need 20% that can, I don't have enough officials to meet that requirement. So making it a mandate is not only going to be a challenge from a resource standpoint, but the union's basically going to go, oh no, not going to happen. So even if you got those two to work and you got an official who took 20 years to get there to the NFL level and is in remarkable shape and can run a 4.440 at 55 and could meet those requirements as a back just side judge, how many of those am I going to have? I don't have
handful.
What's 16 times 3? I don't have 45 of those guys,
right?
And I'm never going to have 45 of those guys. So the only way you can do that is to either have to make it within the union culture. For example, if you were a UAW worker and you worked for Chevrolet, a truck line, okay. And I remember this from when I was in Indiana and at Local 662, and I was at the company picnic. Okay, I was at the union picnic, and I was sitting next to a family that was talking, and one of the guys looked at one of the son of one of the guys who worked there, and he said,
"You don't need the nose."
No, he's like, what are you working on? He goes, I'm working on the LT line. Because the LT is a version of the Chevrolet truck,
right?
And then he looked at his son and he said, "My son's working on the LS line, which is also a line of Chevy trucks, but a little bit. They got cloth seats instead of leather seats, basically, right?
Right."
And he goes, "My son's on the LS line, but he'll be on the LT line someday." And I looked around like, who gives what line you're working on? You're building trucks, for Christ's sake. They all ought to be the best you can build them. But boy, I'll tell you what, your status is all about working on the LT line. They could do that and say, if you want to be a field judge, side judge, back judge, we're going to pay you more money and it's a more prestigious job. And you know what the white hats are going to do? I'm blurring out.
Right.
Yeah. And so this, well, I agree with you that having some sort of standard would be great. Even if you could do that for all the other reasons why we talked about, it's going to be very difficult to get 45, 55, or 60-year-old guys that move around to ever run as fast as a 24-year-old.
Oh, I'm not saying they got to run a 4.4.
Well,
let's say they run a 5.2, and a 5.2 is respectable for an old person, right?
Well, I agree with you, but is that NFL respectable or YFL?
Well, it's a hell of a lot better than the schlubs they got running back there that can run the field in maybe a calendar month.
No, I understand. I agree with you philosophically with what you're saying. I'm struggling.
I could run a 4.2 as well. That'd be 4 months and 2 weeks.
Right. 2 weeks. But I'm struggling with how you would actually do that in reality, given all the time that's necessary to get officials to that level, the experience level, the speed just fades with all that. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but again, fixing these problems is not all. And one thing I do agree with you on is that you meet that standard that you're talking about, not with human beings, but with the technology piece. The technology piece's job is to fix the other 50% that we just talked about that I told you I don't disagree with, but I find is problematic. Because I do agree with you that if you fix those two things, that would help. But you're going to have to leverage people and technology to do that, because there's a 50% line right down the middle that the people side, from a practical standpoint, is just going to be very difficult to accomplish.
Like chips in the nose of the football and chip readers on the friggin' field, so that you don't have to have an overhead view of a scrum to see whether a guy goes through, hits the line or not, because the chip reader in the effing football will tell you when you cross that line.
Right. And
Problem
then
solved. Give me the money.
And then you don't have a chain crew guy in the hospital with a broken leg.
With a broken leg, right?
Which happened in the Saints game. So Ed, Jack, I don't know if you saw it, but Ed says he's got very good news for you.
I know, Ed. I'm right here, brother. Hopefully, I'll hear from you after the show.
Okay, and if you think I need to know what that is, feel free to share. That's not a requirement. Okay, I want to get. I know we're an hour into an hour show, but this is important, so I appreciate you guys hanging in there. Asylum's questions: what are the requirements to become a zebra? Very quickly, you decide you want to contribute to the game in whatever sport it is, soccer, baseball, whatever. You contact your local youth football league coordinators. They will tell you what association is being contracted to officiate their games: basketball, football, baseball, soccer, flag, whatever it is. The youth league organizations contract with a local officials association, and that association's job is to recruit, train, and provide officials to that league. You contact the association, you get signed up, and you start officiating games at whatever sport you want to. And then as you get a couple years in, you'll start meeting people who can tell you how to move up and what the process is to move up. It varies depending on the location that you're at. Because in California, there's especially for football, there's a very robust and very technical and very specific cultural architecture that you have to amass to. For other areas where there isn't that technical infrastructure, you can move up pretty quickly if you're good. But you got to study, you got to be willing to learn, you got to get the rules. There's a lot of what I call the Dan Marino effect with regards to officiating. Not everybody that puts on a uniform can officiate. Obviously, we're seeing that on Saturdays and Sundays. But when Dan Marino was quarterbacking at Miami, how much coaching did Don Shula really have to do? I mean, there were nuances with helping him elevate his game, but Dan Marino was his own talent. There wasn't, in my opinion, a lot of real coaching that had to take place, unlike what Carolina's having to do with their quarterback. It just came naturally to Marino. He knew how to do these things. It didn't mean he knew how to read NFL defenses out of the gate, but he understood what was required to be able to get that, and intuitively, he made himself better. Officiating is the same way. The people who are intuitive, who understand just natively, like, that mechanic doesn't work right, my uniform needs to be a certain way. That's one of the reasons. There were two reasons why I moved up quickly: the intuitiveness of what we were responsible for doing without having to be told to do it, and my communication with coaches. I was one of the few at the high school level who could get to the coach and say, we got a flag on the other side of the field. It's defensive pass interference. It's going to be your ball, first down at the spot, get your team ready. Nobody at the high school level knew how to do that. Right. I made it a point to make sure that my coaches understood the penalty, the problem, and what was the next step. That's why all of a sudden the coaches are like, I want that guy on my sideline. The problem is both coaches were saying that. They couldn't put me on both sidelines. Right. And honestly, before I came in, they did not switch the line judge, field judge, side judge, down judge at halftime. Now the NFL is flipping them. Right, and the whole point was, we don't want to coach in our line judge's ear for the whole game. That's BS. They switched that because not everybody understood how to communicate to the coaches, and they didn't want 60 minutes of a bad person talking to the wrong coach. Right. Part of that, and I hope you all understand, I try never to toot my own horn here, but at the junior college level, when I started, they started that there because the coaches were arguing about whose sideline I was going to be on. The only way they could fix that was to tell the coaches at halftime we were switching sides. which
Yeah.
meant at
And
halftime, when I was the field judge, side judge, I had to take 2 shirts. I was taking the S off at halftime and putting the F on because I had to switch sides at halftime.
right,
That's a
right.
true story. And part of it was because I was good at communicating to coaches with regards to what the penalties were.
Well, imagine if you were the field judge or the umpire.
Well,
somebody will get it in a minute.
no, I understand where you're going with that. But there's so many stories I have about umpires. We could do a whole show on that because I'm telling you, umpires
I'm glad
are.
V got it. I'm glad
Yeah,
V got it.
a
Yeah.
few parts. But umpires, I'm telling you, they are a different breed, man.
Yeah, man.
Those guys are no nonsense.
Right.
Don't mess with me. I'll do umpires are like, I can do a practical joke on you, but don't you ever think about doing to me because you're going to end up upside down in the shower. Yeah. My rookie shot.
Mahalik.
Yeah. My rookie high school varsity game I'm a line judge. Went into the field. There was a personal foul at the 45-yard line. I went in there to see who the foul was on so I could report back to my coach. The referee and the line judge was me and the umpire's in there. The back judge comes in and we're all talking about it. And the referee's like, what do you got? And the umpire's like, I got, personal foul, blah, blah. And I said, okay, so mark it off. It'll be first down and 10 at the 60.
I got it.
45 and 15 and 60. And the umpire looked at me like, don't ever come onto this field ever again. And I was like, it's a joke. But because I was a rookie,
right,
he thought I was smarting off. And it took a long time, about 3 years, before that umpire would ever do another game with me. No matter how much I begged, pleaded, and said, I'm sorry, I was just joking. He was having none of that. So umpires, man, you can't, don't piss them off. Don't piss them off. All right. We gotta get through week 14. We'll do that in a second. Ref, wish you're a
good point.
What's he saying? Wish you're
detonated Raiders ref.
You know what? If I was, I could probably fix a lot of stuff because part of it is if they knew why the officials were doing there, we could coach the team not to do those things, right? We would also keep them from wasting. They haven't yet really, but wasting challenge flags, right?
True.
Or what's going to happen if you lose a challenge flag and you're going to have to use a timeout or take a 10-second runoff? What are the penalties for actually doing that? Yeah, we'd fix a lot of things. We're gonna thanks everybody for hanging in there. I know I was on my officiating soapbox. But I don't know where else you're going to go and get this. But
get that knowledge. That's it.
Baltimore, Las Vegas, Buffalo, Minnesota, Chicago, and the New York Football Giants are on a bye in Week 13. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We got to fly through Week 14 because we got to get everybody ready for tonight. But we'll go to Coach B. If he has anything to say about J.J. Watt, apparently he's in love with, we'll be right back after the break.
What's up, fam? It's your boy, Violator. Just coming to you again to give you a personal testimony on these fantastic FitLine products that I've been using for a couple of years. And you've seen me on my quest to bring that body weight down, get back in shape like I used to be. And this is my secret weapon. These two products right here, Power Cocktail and Restaurant, my daytime and nighttime formula. At FitLine, we call them our optimal set. And baby, let me tell you, one in the morning, one before bed at night, and you let them do their thing. Trust me, these are some fantastic products if you're serious about getting your body where it needs to be, just improving your health overall.
All right. Welcome back to NFL Nation Live. I think we buried pretty much Week 13 into a big old black hole. Let's get you ready for tonight in Week 14. And by the way, Ed, you're right. Marino did learn a lot at Pitt, by the way. But thank you all for joining us. Keep the chat going. We'll keep it real. New England going to go into Pittsburgh tonight. It's a New England team that got shut out at home last week. They're dead last in the NFL scoring with only 145 points. That's an average of 11.2 points per game, roughly. Coach B, last week, we asked you if you were moving on to Pittsburgh. I'm not sure you're going to be moving on to much of anything at this point.
Oh, come on now. I mean, Pittsburgh sucks.
Pittsburgh sucks.
They would actually have to improve drastically just to suck. So they're suck minus.
Oh, so their suck meter is lower than yours, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I don't know if you'll get 301 tonight, but
well, they suck.
Yeah. Well, okay.
It's a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
It's prime time. For Coach Belichick, the Hall of Fame coach.
So you're gonna get 301 tonight finally after like 6 weeks from your last win.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Asylum. Questions are always welcome on this show. It's one of the reasons why we do it, so people have a place to go to learn about that.
I got the Steelers, Coach B. I think you got to wait another week for that 301, man.
I haven't even looked at my schedule yet. I like I said,
okay.
When you have a Pittsburgh team that even Pickett isn't their core, they're the ones that won Dobbs back because Dobbs used to play
with them,
play for the Steelers. Okay. They want Dobbs back. And by the way, if Dobbs continues not to play well, I don't know what his contract status is when they traded for him. They might actually get him back eventually, but it's not going to be this year. But Pickett's hands are so small that there's a joke there, but I don't want to. That would like go through the low level.
Yeah, we don't want folks to get the suck meter and small hands mixed up. But you got a couple primetime games. You've got tonight and the next Monday night, I think, at home against Kansas City. So good luck to you, and hopefully one of these weeks you'll get 301. Hopefully 301 doesn't have to wait until next year. But in any case,
I did my audition for the I did my audition to be the coach, general manager. Is that what you want to call it? And wait a second. Will you shut the hell up? This is my show. I don't know what the hell you're doing on here. Okay, this is the Coach B show. Okay, talk official. Just let me in charge of everything, and that'll be what the NFL needs. Anyway, I did my flat balls. I did my audition. Hey, don't talk to me about flat balls because that got me in trouble the last time you brought that up. Anyway, point being is I did my audition last week. I told the Spanos family, I said, I'm gonna give it a really good game. You're gonna win. Shh, don't tell anybody, but I'm gonna let y'all win. But just make sure that I get it on the back end in the nicety department. That's all I said. I'm gonna go back and take a quick nooner.
Okay.
And a wild orchid nooner, and then I'm going to come back for the game.
Copy that. Tijuana Sparklers.
Sparkler, yeah, I saw that. I'm like,
is that the flag football team? All right, we got to get through the schedule. Tampa Bay going to go into Atlanta, play a very important division game in the NFC South. I like Atlanta at home. Tampa Bay, I think they're going to give the Falcons all they want. It's a game that Tampa Bay can win or should win. But I think of the Falcons, guys, we talked about this last week. If the Falcons want to make a statement, they go into New York, beat the Jets, which they did. Now they're going to go home, play a division game. They can get themselves in a position to win an NFC South division title by beating the Bucs at home.
Here's the thing with that one, though, guys. I got Tampa 4 Pirates in this one because of the balance, offensive and defensively.
Yeah, that's a good point. The question is, can Baker Mayfield put up enough points? Atlanta's 25th in scoring.
Wow.
It's going to be Bijan Robinson show because
right.
Tampa Bay is thinking about putting Devin White on the bench. Let's just say that.
Really? Really? Wow.
On the bench? Right. Devin White?
Yes. Wow. Talking about getting Devin White on the bench. I don't know what the validity. I just saw the flash.
That's probably to move him on.
Yeah.
So Kev says Falcons going to sell Baker some bird insurance.
Some
That's
bird
true,
insurance.
but they only. I always call the Falcons, in addition to Angry Birds, or Dirty Birds, the one-winged birds, because their helmets only shows the
one
one
side.
wing.
Yeah.
So they're only going to sell they're going to sell him the bird insurance at
For one
50%
wing.
off.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. So Cap, who do you like? Faux Pirates or Falcons? You taking the flybys? Okay.
Hallelujah.
The Rams going to go into Baltimore,
Whoa.
get beat by the Ravens.
The
The
Blackbirds.
the Michigan
Blackbirds.
Wildcats going to go into Chicago. They're going to beat the Bears.
I got the Trois against the Bears. The Bears.
Pierre,
Are you kidding me?
Pierre Franchon, are they going to be the Michigan Wildcats going to beat the Chicago Bears?
It's so bad I'm not even wearing my beret correctly because I'm going to take it off quickly at cause de toi.
Yeah, okay. All right. Indianapolis going to go into Cincinnati. Very important game for both these teams. You could say it's a must-win for Cincinnati. We didn't get to really talk about their win against Jacksonville on Monday night, which they did get against the Jaguars. And by the way, the Jaguars got both their quarterbacks dinged up. We'll talk about that in a minute because they got to go into Cleveland. But, must win for Cincinnati. You could technically argue must win for the Colts. I think the Colts win ends the season for Cincinnati, essentially makes him probably into that mathematical way of making the playoffs, which means you're out. But the Colts need to keep winning to get in. The Colts get one on the road in Cincinnati. I think it's a pretty evenly matched game, if you ask me.
It's pretty even, but I'm going to lean with Cincy because they're at home.
Ooh. All right. I like
the way the kid played. I think he's going to do just enough to beat Indianapolis.
I want to
Indianapolis screwed things or got all their lucky breaks to make it into overtime last week.
No, that's true. But that was a division game on the road.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Yeah, I want to like the Colts. But if the Raiders have been doing better, obviously we'd want Cincinnati to win this one. I don't think it matters now with regards to any help for the Raiders. But I'd like to like the Colts on the road. But I agree with you. Cincinnati at home is going to be tough, especially because of that road win they got in Jacksonville. I think they've got some confidence from there that they can beat a team by scoring a lot of points. They got 34 points. I know it was overtime, but they got the 34 points. I'm not sure the Colts are up for 34 points if Cincinnati decides to show up. That said, Jacksonville, who got beat up, quarterback's going to go into Cleveland and face a pretty good Cleveland Browns defense. It's the Browns team that did not win last week on the road in LA. That's fine. It was a interconference game on the road, not a game technically have to win. But if the Browns want to stay in this thing, they're going to have to go home now, use that defense. Hope Joe Flacco still has some Earl Morrall, George Blanda left in him in order to beat the Jaguars. Who do you guys like?
I got Cleveland with Flacco and Kareem Hunt leading the charge.
That may be enough to do it.
Same.
Cleveland. All right. Carolina going to go into New Orleans. This really isn't about Carolina as much as it is the Saints trying to hold on to anything that might give them some sort of shot at a wild card, assuming the Falcons can hold on for the division title. But is this a Saints team that is just overrated, or are they just underperforming?
Yes. Underperforming, definitely underperforming. And my question is Winston going to start or the other quarterback, the Swiss Army knife? Who's going to start?
Yeah, I'll
for the
Saints. If Taysom Hill starts, okay, he was actually the only person that was providing offense last week.
That's true
because Winston sucks.
He does. Kamara can't hold the whole show.
He shall not be named. I don't even need to mention that.
Right.
But Taysom Hill, like I said, he has intangibles. Now let me see. It's Carolina. I don't know. I think that the way that Carolina played last week, and they played well against Tampa Bay. I'm gonna take Carolina. I'm gonna take Carolina in an upset.
Okay, cool. Kev says Panthers got to win. Jack is asking if Flacco's 100 years old. I would say at least 99 minimum. All right, so I'm Switzerland on that one. I'd like to like the Saints at home, but I don't trust the Saints. I'll go with the Panthers. What the hell? Houston going to go into New York to beat the Jets. We touched on this a little bit. This is a Houston team. They got their win last week. They're hanging around. I don't with that loss against Jacksonville. I don't think they'll be able to take the division, but they're a strong wild card team if they keep going. Guys, this would be a confidence builder for them to go in and play one of the better defenses in the AFC and get the win. Even though the Jets aren't scoring, I think that by default gives Houston the opportunity to win this. But this is a Houston team now that needs to get in there, get the win, and get out without getting anybody banged up.
I got Houston on the road. The Jets cannot score enough points to keep up.
They're only like 15 points more than the New England Patriots at this point.
3 words, 6 syllables. We're going to win.
We okay.
That's pretty good.
All right. The Purple People Eaters or Purple, whatever they are, going to go into Las Vegas, take on the Raiders. I think this, from a football perspective, I think this is a fairly evenly matched game. I have concerns about the Raiders on defense being able to really hold the Vikings back for 60 minutes, but our offense should be able to move the ball against the Vikings. Do you guys think the Raiders can pull out a win at home and put the Minnesota Vikings in a big old giant wild card hole?
I got LV and the Death Star. Close game.
Super Bowl 11 rematch. Who won?
Yeah.
Oakland, baby.
They did.
NLV. So
Pasadena.
Oakland ones.
Okay.
Oakland V, yeah.
Oakland V, yeah.
I got the
Jets
Oakland V too.
Jets get barbecue from Will Anderson. I hope it's not overcooked, but yeah. So you guys like the Raiders? Okay. Seattle going to Sea Chicken's going to go into San Francisco. I don't see this being an upset or trap game for San Francisco. I think they just have to do what they do, and I think the Seabirds now are, if they get the loss, they're going to be Raiders fans Sunday afternoon, right?
Sunday afternoon, yes, sir. I got the Niners at home, man. They ain't going to stop what they've got going.
No, I don't think so either, because they now have beaten Philadelphia. They're going to expect Dallas to beat Philadelphia, and that's going to give San Francisco the inside track now for the number 1 seed, right? Because they were 2 games back of Philadelphia for the Eagles when they went to Philadelphia. So they beat them to now be 1 game back. If the Eagles go to Dallas, get beat by the Cowboys, and the 49ers are in the driver's seat.
Got the gold diggers.
Frisco cooked the Sea Chickens in fish grease. Ugh. That's a
nasty,
high.
baby.
That's going to be a high calorie, high cholesterol win for them. One of the bigger games in the AFC will be the Buffalo going into Kansas City to take on the Chefs. I don't think there's enough wagons left for Buffalo at this point. They're going to have to play their best football for the remainder of the season. I don't know if they're going to be ready. They're going to get a Chiefs team that's probably ticked off and not willing to secede any more games to potentially Jacksonville or Baltimore at this point. I think it's a tough place for Buffalo to try to get into and beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead.
I got the Chefs at home. Buffalo just a little bit overmatched.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah,
that mystique that they used to have when going to KC, I think that's gone now.
It seems to be. The genies left the 3 wishes on the table and basically said, "See ya." Yeah. I think the other thing that bugs me about Buffalo, really, guys, is they just don't have the running game. They don't have the solid running game that I think that they really need to win these December games. And I think their defense is still a little suspect. Denver going to go into LA to take on the Chargers. The Broncos have been racking up some pretty decent wins, as Richie Wiche would say, due in part to, a little bit of a turnaround with the way they're playing and being coached, but they were getting turnovers, which they didn't get against the Texans. They got beat. They're going to go into play a Chargers team that only scored 6 points last week in New England, which I'm not sure is an inept offense or a well-schemed Patriots defense. But do you like the Broncos on the road in LA?
Yes, I do. I got them.
All right. I agree with you. I think LA's done. I think they should be on the clock, quite frankly, which they'd be my vote for our Week 14 Clocketeers. All right, probably the game of the week. Philadelphia going to go into Dallas on Sunday night, take on the Cowboys. I think this is a game that the Cowboys have been waiting for, wanting, and I know they're going to come out fired up. If they punch the Eagles in the mouth early, I'm not sure this is an Eagles team that can catch up. But there, as you guys mentioned earlier in the broadcast, there are some questions with regards to Dallas's defense. But the Eagles now had an overtime win against Buffalo 2 weeks ago, a tough game against the 49ers last week where they only scored 19 points. I realize it's a division game, which is always a little bit different. But Dallas now has a couple things going for them. They've won, if you will, a bunch of cheap games, so to speak. So they've been in the win column now for a while. They may have even forgotten what losing really feels like, but all they got to do is dig out that tape from their last trip to Philadelphia, where those two teams basically knocked the snot out of each other. And I think the Eagles have an uphill road now in Dallas against the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm taking Philly on the road because, like I said I said it in the green room. I think they got embarrassed and they're going to bounce back regardless how they feel physically. The heart is going to take over.
I'm going to do this real quick. So I told Jack he can come in after me. As a Texas boy, I'm rooting for the Cowboys. Cowboys going to win, but let's get that other guy in here. That dude is so effed up. I don't even want to go into it. It is a Eagles win.
Yeah.
It's an Eagles win. No problem. No problem.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. I'm glad you gave me a chance to say it, but
I wasn't gonna say nothing, man. Hey, let him do his thing, man.
That's right. He's got the hat.
And it's like nothing like a bunch of screaming kids to put you in the mood.
Put you in the mood. Yeah.
Eagles beat the Cowgirls. Yes, but what about the football team?
Well,
Asylum says he has money on that. Ooh.
Wow. Well, I got the Eagles.
Okay.
I got the Eagles too.
Jerry gets some cheese whiz on his dressing. Ouch.
Hey, that's kinky.
I'll tell you what, if the Philadelphia Eagles go in there and put a beat down on Dallas, and I mean basically essentially just getting the win, I think the 49ers are then going to start looking over their shoulder going, God, I hope they don't have to come here or we go there. Because San Francisco wants no part of going back to Philadelphia. They're not going to get lucky twice. Not that they were lucky the first time. I think they outplayed them. But that was a regular season game with nothing at stake, essentially. I mean, I know number one seed, maybe, but that's different than the NFC Championship game with a Super Bowl.
January. You don't want to go to Philly in January. No way.
There are 2 Monday night games this week. Tennessee is going to go into Miami, get beat by the Dolphins. And then the Green Bay Packers, fighting for a playoff spot, going to go into New York to take on the Giants. Let's go quickly to Whiskey Jack. I don't think your distillery runs all the way to Miami. Of course, I don't know.
No, but I'm going to sail a hell of a lot of shine down there. And then there was some guys talking about a place called the Wild Orchid up the road in Sturt.
Oh no!
So I'm gonna go up there. So I don't give a flying foxtrot about what the game is. I just want to sell my shine, make some money, and get with some hookers up at the Wild Orchid. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right. Well, speaking of hooking up, I think Tua and Tyreek Hill will take care of Tennessee. Tennessee has the potential for offense. I think Levis is doing a good job. And if they want Derrick Henry to help control the game, I think they can do that. And I think Miami's defense is soft enough for Henry to get some yards. But we saw last week, Cap and V, we saw Derrick Henry do quite a bit.
Yeah.
Against Indianapolis didn't turn out to be enough. So I'm not sure it'll be enough against Miami.
Daniel, choose 3 for you, brother. 3 for you in Germany and Deutschland.
Yeah, exactly. And thanks for joining the show. On top of that, guys, Miami is number 2 in scoring with 384 points. Tennessee, they're 26th in scoring. I just don't think they're gonna. They can't get into a shootout, and I'm not sure they're gonna. I don't think after the first 30 minutes they're gonna have much.
We're gonna hear a lot of the old-time Houston Oilers song.
Yeah,
in Miami.
Yep.
Because those bastards didn't change nothing but the Miami to Houston. Okay. And when Houston Oilers, except they
Right.
changed it to Miami Dolphins. I mean, it doesn't. It's the same song.
Now,
Look it up.
well,
You're gonna hear a lot of that song.
not the first thing the Dolphins have ripped off. So there you go.
Yeah,
true.
gonna be a lot of that song.
By
Gonna
the
be a lot
way,
of Miami.
By the way, we missed this in the first part, but Craig Rolstad and his crew are doing the Raiders game. We get them again. Remember, we had Vinovich twice. We're getting Rolstad again. We had
twice.
Rolstad in week 2
Wow.
against Buffalo,
Oh, he
which was
sucks.
at Buffalo.
That sounds like a setup from the get up right there.
Oh, you think? Gee,
yeah,
I don't know with the Sterator
I'm just
on
saying.
that crew.
I'm just saying.
And what you got, Jim Mello and Frank Sterator. Forget it.
Does Frank have index cards in his pocket too?
He has one in case he needs to measure for a first down.
Yeah,
Wouldn't really be his job, but he can hand it to the umpire, Steve Woods, who would use it.
He can suck from under.
As a Raiders fan, Jack, I don't want to see any other NFC West team other than it. I don't blame you on that front. There was a day when I would have said that too. The Green Bay Packers playing for their playoff lives, going to go into New York to take on the football Giants. You guys said earlier that you like Green Bay on the road. You going to stick with that?
I'm sticking with it. Green Bay on the road.
Okay, Green Bay on the road. Okay. Why did the chicken cross the road? Well, because the Giants were there. Okay. All right. I just don't like the crew for us this week. There could have been worse crews. We could have gotten Ron Torbert
we're getting him on. We're getting him for an important game.
Trust me, it's coming.
The Chiefs game.
It's probably
either that, the Chiefs game, or the last
or
game,
the Broncos. The last,
Now I think it'll be Indianapolis or Kansas City. If Indianapolis wins, it'll be Indianapolis because they want the Colts in. If the Colts lose, then it'll be the Chiefs because that's just weird. Rolstad
is what it is.
Gosh, dang it. Jeez.
Nothing but love. It brings DeVito a cheese board.
All right, who are we gonna? All right. Green Bay brings DeVito a cheese board. They might want to bring the rest of it.
Who's the suckiest left?
The suckiest left.
You said the guys that are not already on the clock. Who are the 3 suckiest left?
Well,
you
could argue New Orleans.
Yeah. I'm about ready to put the fleur de lis there.
In my opinion, the next candidates up for being on the clock, and Seattle and Cleveland are this close. I would put the Chargers or the Saints on the clock.
Fair enough.
I think the Chargers are done.
Yeah,
I think they've been done for a while, and I think we overlooked them because they're number 12 in scoring. I mean, I know they only put up 6 points last week, but that was enough to essentially keep them almost in the top 10. But they're tied with Kansas City, essentially. So basically not 12th. They're basically 11th. But Kansas City has 275 points. LA has 275 points. So there really technically isn't a 12th team. But other than LA and New Orleans, Seattle and Cleveland are the only other teams in the bottom half of scoring that are not on the clock. And Seattle's hanging around. Minnesota, we already put Minnesota on the clock.
Minnesota's already on there.
Yeah.
So, and again, just because we put you on the clock doesn't mean you don't make the playoffs. But essentially, we're saying your season's over. So even if you made the playoffs, you're going to be one and done.
Mm-hmm.
More than likely.
I mean, I'd get rid of the garglers. I know we got to play them on Thursday, but I'm gonna go above and beyond and do something that I normally don't do. I'm gonna get the garglers out tonight.
Okay. What do you think, V? Do you want to put the Chargers on the clock? I mean, that's my vote.
I could second that.
It's either Chargers, Seahawks, or Saints.
Yeah, I could.
So we could. Well, see, the thing is that I would say we'd wait a week till after the Thursday game. But
look at last week's game. That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm feeling confident about our boys. I'm going to put the Chargers on the clock. Yeah, and if we do 2, I'll take the fleur de lis.
What do you think? What do you think, V? You want to put the Saints on the clock too?
Yeah, there's no use to keep hanging on to that one. Yeah,
I agree with you.
yeah.
We got to be bold on this show. If we wait till
Yeah.
week 18 to put teams on the
It
clock,
don't even matter by then. Yeah.
we're not gonna look very smart.
So Chargers, Saints on the
Chargers and Saints. Okay, so that means that from just the scoring standpoint,
clock.
and I know there's the other stat too, which is their over under. I'll look at that in just a second. Cleveland and Seattle are the only teams left that essentially should be on our clock bubble. Let's take a quick look at.
Well, by the time we do another show, they might be the ones that are the automatic outs.
Well, I agree with you on that front. Let me look at these stats here real quick. I want to give you guys just some heads up.
Sean Kelly, by the way, I am a fan of the arse, so you are wrong. I cannot stand Manchester United. Screw Manchester United. Arse. I forgot about that. I needed to make sure I said that.
No, that's okay. So we put the Chargers on the clock, guys. They are a plus 17 only in points scored versus points given up. They've lost all of their games by a total of 38 points. So a pretty bold move on our part to call them done, but I think that's good. The Saints are a -1. They've given up one more point than they've scored. They're over under. Their 7 losses are by a total of 54 points.
What's up, Johnny?
So I think those are good calls on our part. So,
but
you have to get bolder at this time of the season because
yeah.
And I mean the Colts, but on the same side of the coin, we're leaving the Colts out there, and they're
but you know what? I still think the Colts can do something. They might be able to actually get there.
But they're only a +4, right? They've scored 4 more points than they've given up.
They are ascending though.
They are, but their 5 losses are by a total of 45 points. Cincinnati, on the other hand, a -27. Okay, so they've given up 27 more points than they've scored, and their 6 losses are by a total of 71 points. So on paper, the Colts are the better football team, but that doesn't mean they're playing better football at the current moment. But those are just interesting stats. So we look at over/under, we look at points scored in part, and then just our general football knowledge about how teams are playing, not playing, what the rest of their schedule looks like is part of the criteria for us putting teams on the clock. But I'm confident that we're okay with the Chargers and the Saints at this point. So, all right, remember everybody, next week, NFL Nation Live will be on a bye. We'll be back in 2 weeks for our Week 16 show. There's scheduling conflicts because next Thursday is the Raiders game against the Chargers. So tough for us to get you all together on a Thursday when the Raiders are playing, obviously. So we appreciate your patience while we take a bye, but we're not abandoning you. I know it's a rough 2 weeks. It can be hard. We have withdrawals because we won't be there, but we will be back in 2 weeks. And I know we ran long today, but I appreciate you being willing to listen to all my craziness with regards to officiating. But more importantly, I hope it's educational and informative. So thank you for giving me the platform to be able to do that, and V and Cap for giving me the airspace to be able to articulate some of those things that we think are important. So in any case, thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate all of your fans and all of your input. Hopefully we got to all your questions and got you answers for what you wanted to. If we missed you, I apologize for that. Be back with us in 2 weeks for a Week 16 show where we'll probably have more teams to put on the clock. And let's go get that win against the Vikings and also against the whatever that other team from LA is.
The Gurglers, yeah!
Are you guys both going to the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to Minnesota and LA and the Chargers?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, I'll wave to you when I see you on TV.
You got it.
You'll see him.
Yeah. We might see you. Yeah.
Only if I sit next to him.
Yeah.
Come on. They don't
show you.
They show
sometimes it's hard to tell you off from the fat chicks, but
they show me in the stadium on the jumbo.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Yeah, they show me in the jumbo, but national,
feeds.
2 different feeds, baby.
They don't get you on the kissing cam, huh?
Well, they should, because normally I have a nice.
They should. Perkiness
beside you. I got you.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you in 2 weeks for Week 16 show. And gosh, guys, we're
It's
getting close
almost
to
done.
playoffs now.
Almost done, baby.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Take care. And thanks for
Enjoy
joining
the
us.
game.
And Cap, hope you get good news from Sir Ed, and we'll be in touch.
I hope so. Man, I don't know whether he's on a flight now, but I'll hit him up on the thing.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
let you know.
Yeah.
Copy that. All right. You take care, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Got it. Take care, guys.
Ah!
Love it. Love it.